After a short delay, the Artemis II program is ready to launch this week. It'll be the first time humans orbit the moon in more than 50 years when the Apollo 17 crew went there back in 1972. Joining us on the show this morning to discuss this monumentous occasion is Dr. Kelsey Young, the Artemis II Lunar Science lead. Thanks so much for being here with us today, Dr. Young.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, so we are just days away from the big day. Tell us what Artemis II is and where exactly these astronauts are headed.
My favorite question as a lunar scientist. So Artemis II looks like, launching here from the Kennedy Space Center. It's roughly a 10-day mission that includes, the inaugural crewed flight of the Orion vehicle. NASA has flown Orion once. There were not crew members in it. This will be the first time the crew flies it. So in this test flight, we're looking to test out the vehicle, but, as the lunar science lead, I have to mention that, of course, we're going to the moon. We're performing a several-hour flyby of the moon, and the crew members are going to be looking out the windows, making observations, taking great pictures, and even sketching a little bit.
Okay, so what is the goal of this 10-day flight?
Well, the primary goal is, of course, test flight of the vehicle. Number one goal is to launch the crew safely and return them safely home. We do have a number of test objectives throughout the mission, of course, in addition to testing out the spacecraft. There are a number of science objectives on board, including human research and biological and physical science payloads, and then, of course, lunar science.
So many of our viewers likely remember the Apollo missions, but what makes this mission historic?
Absolutely. I'm very envious of all of the viewers and listeners watching at home who did experience the Apollo missions, and I'm really looking forward for this generation to, experience the Artemis missions. I think an important thing to realize is that Artemis II is but the first step toward, establishing a sustained presence on the lunar surface and ultimately going on to Mars. So, we're really capitalizing, honestly, on the amazing discoveries made by the Apollo missions. Scientifically speaking, those samples, those observations made by the crew in orbit and on the surface really unlocked the next generation of lunar and solar system science. And we anticipate the same for Artemis. Science enables exploration, and exploration enables science. And so we're looking forward to learning more about the moon and, helping establish this long-term presence and ultimately getting eyes on Mars.
Yeah, so keeping with exploration, is this Artemis program going to be seeing new regions of the moon that we haven't seen before yet?
Oh my gosh, my favorite question. Yes, is the short answer. So, Apollo missions launched at times when the near side of the moon, the side of the moon that always faces our planet, was illuminated because, of course, the 6 Apollo lunar surface missions landed on that near side. That means that when the Apollo missions were orbiting the moon, much of the far side was not illuminated, it was completely in darkness. And so these Artemis II astronauts have a chance of seeing some sections of the lunar surface for the very first time with human eyes. These sections were either not viewable by the spacecraft because of the way that the Apollo spacecrafts were pointed, or literally in darkness when all of the Apollo crew members were there. Pretty exciting, and I know the crew is really excited about it too.
That is really exciting, and I'm sure we have some young astronauts at home that are just now learning that the moon, in fact, is not made of cheese. Watching all this video that we have, is there going to be a way for the public to kind of follow along with this mission online?
You are asking all my favorite questions. Yes, NASA has a 24/7 broadcast during the mission. And then for some sections of the mission that are, particularly dynamic, including the Lunar Flyby Day, there'll be, additional coverage where you're going to hear from scientists like me about what the crew are experiencing and seeing. You actually will hear descriptions from the crew in real time during the flyby of what they're seeing on the lunar surface. And so to all of your sort of young viewers who hope to one day go to the moon and maybe ultimately Mars, I would say tune in, listen to the crew descriptions, and also know that one of the recent NASA astronaut candidates hails from right there in the Seattle area. So we really hope you follow along and get excited about the moon with us.
Oh, that is so cool. I didn't know that. Okay, Dr. Young, I know we're almost out of time. We only have a couple seconds left, but what are you most excited for with this mission?
Absolutely, the number one thing is hearing those first descriptions of the moon by the Artemis II crew. I've trained them for years. They're absolutely ready to do this and provide scientific value. I can't wait to hear those words once they see the moon out the window.
Oh my gosh, well, we can't wait to follow along. I love the Seattle tie there. Dr. Kelsey Young, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me.